What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for coming back to another video. I really appreciate it. I'm actually adding this after the fact. I was in the middle of the editing process and I just got the new music for the intro that obviously you just watched. What did you guys think? My friend Jiano Joel just did that for me. I really appreciate it. I've been wanting to add some official custom music, a theme specific to this channel. The music that I had before I really enjoyed, but it was just temporary. So big thanks to my friend Jeremiah Erikson, who's made the visual of the intro and put the original music on there. And now big thanks to Jiano Joel for adding to it with custom music that really just makes it feel like my own intro. I'm loving it. I'm loving it 110%. He made that from the ground up for me, and I couldn't be more grateful, to be honest. I'm gonna leave all of his information in the description box down below, all the links, everywhere you can find him, everywhere you can find his music. This guy does this for a living. He just made some big changes in his life to be able to make music his 110% priority. So yeah, guys, give him some love. Check him out if you were a YouTuber or somebody else just looking for some sort of music, whether it's somebody to score something for you, create a theme for you, a jingle, anything. This is the guy to hit up. He's super awesome, super creative, and very just, I don't know how his mind works, to be honest, but whenever I talk to him about music, it's just pure genius. So truly, just hit him up down in the links down below. I'll probably have him linked in every single one of my description box videos from here on out, as long as that song is on my in my intro, and it's gonna be there for a while, guys. So yeah, guys, let's get into the review now, but I just wanted to give that big shout out to Jiano Joel. Thanks again, my friend. I really appreciate it. What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for coming back to another video. Today we're gonna be talking about one of my favorite movies growing up, one of my favorite Robin Williams films, Mrs. Doubtfire. So I recently rewatched Mrs. Doubtfire for the first time in quite a few years, and I watched it tons of times growing up as a kid, so I can say rewatching it, I pretty much remembered it perfectly. I remembered it scene by scene, and I was really rewatching it mainly because my girlfriend had never seen it. She recently got me the Blu-ray for Christmas, and so it was the first time we actually watched it on Blu-ray. And yeah, going back and rewatching it, this movie is just the epitome of charming. I feel like the biggest praise I can give this film is charm, and the fact that it has a lot of heart. There's so many good messages about family and about characters and about life, and how things can always, not necessarily always go as planned, but you know, if you can always find the good in a lot of really terrible situations, or a lot of really big changes, or heartbreaking situations. And I think that's one of the biggest things I've always taken away from this film. So before we get too deep into all that, let me just give the basic synopsis of the film if you've never seen Mrs. Doubtfire, and we'll talk on from there. If you've never seen Mrs. Doubtfire before, I'm going to give a quick synopsis of the film. No real big spoilers. I'm going to assume a lot of you have already seen the movie, but in case you haven't, of course, like in all my other reviews, I don't want to spoil anything too big there for you. So the movie centers on a character named Daniel, played by Robin Williams. He does voices for different shows and just different animated features. And right at the beginning of the movie, he's voicing a character who's doing something that he does not feel is a great message for kids, specifically because he has 3 kids of his own. And he chooses to walk off the set and does not want to voice the character. In doing so, he loses his job and kind of loses his reputation and the ability to work in this field. Not long after, we are introduced to his kids, and he's throwing a huge birthday party for one of his kids that was not supposed to be getting a birthday party because his grades were doing really, really bad, or he had really, really bad grades, I mean. Their mom is played by Sally Field, and she did not want him to have a birthday party, and she's the more strict parent. She's the one who, you know, works a 9-to-5 business job, super professional, all that kind of jazz. And Robin Williams' character is the complete opposite. Well, long story short, this birthday party ends up resulting in a huge fight between both parents, and we kind of learn throughout the dialogue that Daniel's character is in between jobs. He can't really hold jobs. He is a big clown, always joking around, and in doing so, it has kind of caused harm to his relationship, has caused harm to his ability to work, and is, you know, kind of ruined his wife's perception of him, essentially. And so right out of the gate, you're hit with there's a comedy element, but you're hit with a very dramatic element of real life situations that happen in a lot of relationships. Throughout this argument and this whole situation, Sally Field's character decides to call for a divorce, and she no longer wants to be with Daniel, and that she's just over everything. She's over the silliness, she's over him not being able to keep a job, and that she essentially kind of wants a man, you know, she wants her husband to be a different kind of person. This causes a lot of turmoil in the home. You know, the kids are obviously incredibly saddened.
he's heartbroken. And what I really have always loved about this whole moment and just this film in general is Robin Williams' performance. He plays such a charming and likable character. And when this scene happens where the divorce is in the dialogue, there's just so much pain behind his eyes and behind his words. You know, he wants to work it out, but Sally Field's character is not about it. She does not want that to happen. She just had it, you know what I mean? And, you know, I come from a household where my parents were divorced, so there's something there I can resonate with, you know. And as I've grown older, I've grown to just understand, you know, why the divorce happened and why it was the best for both of my parents and, you know, in the long run of who they are today. And I think that's a huge message that this film portrays, is that sometimes things don't always work out, especially with things like parents, you know, and sometimes it's for the best for the parents to be separated and being able to be the best parents they can be on their own. And rewatching it is something that still resonates with me. It's something that that I really feel like I understand a lot more now that I'm an adult. And it's a theme I really enjoy, and it's something that I hope that kids who have divorced parents today can watch and still take from, because there's still a lot there as far as the message by the end of the film. You may wonder, is it your fault? You know what I mean? One of the kids actually does believe that. But you know, one thing that's really important that the film really portrays is sometimes life just happens that way, and sometimes it's for the best, and sometimes parents become better parents for it. And yeah, that's just what I wanted to say about that message of the film. So furthering the synopsis before I cut off all spoilers altogether, Sally Field's character decides that the home now needs a nanny, and Robin Williams, being able to do voices and pretty much being an actor, creates this persona of Mrs. Doubtfire and now becomes the kid's nanny without the mom knowing. She dresses up as an old lady. You can see it in the thumbnail if you haven't seen this film before, and it creates a pretty unique and funny comedy with a lot of heart, a lot of charm. And this movie isn't really something that I would say is the kind of movie that has any sort of story that you've never seen before, or something that's like, oh wow, revolutionary story. But it's just a very well done, charming family film with a lot of heart and some great messages throughout. And you know, you can kind of predict where certain moments are gonna go, especially now for modern moviegoers. You know, you could no doubt watch this movie and in today's society and feel like, okay, I know where it's gonna go. I've seen this kind of story before. But it's really about how it's portrayed. It's about Robin Williams' performance. It's about the kids in the film and the relationship between all of them. The character of Mrs. Doubtfire is so charming and so lovable that you really do forget when you're watching the movie that Robin Williams' character Daniel and Mrs. Doubtfire are the same character. He really does do an amazing job portraying Mrs. Doubtfire in such a comedic but loving and charming way. And that gets me to what I think is my favorite message of the film, which is at the very end of the film, every character, Daniel, the mother, the kids, everybody was changed for the better because of Mrs. Doubtfire. Even Sally Field's character, she says to Daniel, she says that Mrs. Doubtfire brought the best out in you as well as everybody else. He had to act like an old lady nanny, but in doing so, he was a better father because he was there doing these various things that helped benefit his children, helped make them happier, helped bring a smile to their face in ways that he wasn't when he was just being their dad normally, which is a very interesting and unique theme I feel like this movie has. Mrs. Doubtfire is really what made these characters different. Mrs. Doubtfire is really who these characters related to and wanted to change for and be a better person for. And I think that that's something for me that I can relate to, in the sense that I love characters, you know, and I've always loved film and I love TV, and I've always been able to relate with TV and film and characters more than a lot of real life. Growing up as a kid, when I felt like I couldn't relate to other people, I always related to characters in things, and I always saw myself through their eyes or saw myself in them in a way, you know. And sometimes you take from that. Sometimes you take the brave elements or the charming elements of these various characters. And that's something that resonated with me, is that characters can be such an important part of our life. As for somebody who's such a diehard fan of so many things, I've just resonated with so many characters, and so a lot of them become more important to me than a lot of things in my life. And some people might find that to be silly, but I feel like if you're one of the people, just like if you're somebody like me, who just resonate with characters so deeply and you remember them so fondly all the time, I feel like that's a message that will very much tie in with a lot of people in their lives and their connection to characters and really the power of characters and what they can do for people emotionally, and even just taking away, you know, what are you thinking about when you walk away from a performance or a specific character, and what their role was in that film, you know? I feel like I'm just rambling at this point, but you know. So yeah, guys, my basic review of Mrs. Doubtfire is that it is an incredibly charming film. It's very, very well acted. There's a lot of heart, a lot of charm. There's a lot of good smiley moments. There's some tear-jerking, like happy moments. There's some actually emotionally sad moments throughout the film, but overall it is an incredibly well done film. You know, I would say the only negatives I have is there's a few elements that are a little rushed, and the movie did come out in the 90s, and it's very 90s as far as the attire, the look of the film, everything, so it's a bit dated in terms of as far as that goes. I really enjoy this film. I love the performances, I love the heart and the charm behind it. I love the various messages, some that I didn't even mention here, like when you're watching, it's just there's lines of dialogue or little moments that really stand out to you. You know, what a parent will do for their kid, you know, kind of the that it's okay for things like divorce and big change like that to happen, and specifically a message for kids who are going through divorce in their own household. Like, it's not your fault, you know, sometimes your parents just have to, you know, separate. Sometimes they just have to do what's best for them so that they can be the best for you, and that's something that resonated with me for sure. And of course, like I mentioned before, the idea of character being so strong in this film, and what characters can do and how they can change you as a person. You know, whether it's reading books, whether it's playing a video game, whether it's watching a movie, TV show, anything, characters resonate so strongly with me, and that's something that really resonated strongly with me in this film. Yeah, guys, that's gonna be my review of Mrs. Doubtfire. Recommend you guys check it out 110% if you haven't seen it, and if you have seen it, you know, rewatch it. I think it's one of those movies that definitely has a lot of rewatch value. Make sure you hit that like button and comment your thoughts on this film. Have you seen it? Have you not seen it? Also, just leave comments down below on various movies that have impacted you, characters that have impacted you, that maybe for the better, for the worse. I'm very, very curious. So let's make it a discussion as usual. And yeah, guys, hit that subscribe button for more videos. I would really, really appreciate that. The little bell icon next to subscribe will notify you when my new videos are posted. And yeah, guys, that's gonna be the end of this video. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.